Hello! So today on the menu we have a GameCube. This will be a beginner's perspective, going through the ins and outs, all the while seeing how easy it is for a beginner, like myself, to tear down and reassemble. So if that's something you're interested in, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting out here, you'll need a game bit driver, and the 4.5 being the size of the screw. We'll be flipping this over and getting it down into these holes here. Unfortunately, it's pretty deep, as it just shows a door to darkness down there.
Say fellas, did somebody mention the door to darkness?
So we'll see if this just normal driver is able to fit and reach. It's definitely questionable, but I think I got it. To make sure though, let's go on to the next one to see. It's certainly a snug fit. As you can see, getting it in there, it just barely makes it all the way down. Let's see if we can replicate that crack from the first one though.
Nice.
There we go. So it does work, it's just concerningly close for comfort. It's not necessary, but we can also get rid of these port covers here, allowing for different attachments to be added to the GameCube. So like the Game Boy Player add-on, adapters allowing for online play, and another port that has no consumer use. Luckily, the modding community is putting these to good use, so I hope to go over some of them in the future. Whoop. Here's a closer look at the game bit screw itself. With the unveiling done, we'll set that aside and focus on the top half. Luckily, every other screw in here can be opened with a Phillips 1-bit, so we'll be going with that from now on. With a pry tool or your fingers, you can get behind the fan filter and slide that up like so. Now we have two screws here for this clear piece, which shows the light indicator. That comes out like that. Next we'll grab these two screws up here, and then this just slides up. Now we have two more screws. These hold in the mechanism for the open button. Doing so allows you to easily push it up once the screws have been taken out. So let's get to it. As you can see, these are the screws in comparison with the other ones, so they're easily discernible, which is nice. Now we can push the open button to pop the piece up. Just keep lifting it up, but be careful not to scratch up the side there with this metal clip just resting against it. So this piece just sits around the peg, while the downward end goes through this hole here. Now we just have these two final screws back here. This mechanism can just slide out. You could get the full assembly out, but doing it this way is fine too. Screw's still in there, and that's fine. We have the spring part here that holds onto the previous part, and don't forget the other half either. Oh, I'll also grab this out. That just holds the lid in place, and then we can separate the lid from the shell. Focusing in on the lid, to get the nameplate out, you have to pinch these two tabs together, and it just falls right out. There we have a nice hidden Nintendo logo.
I bet you there's a lucky emblem here.
I'm surprised, this has actually got some decent weight to it. Going back to the inside here, we'll get starting with the open button. You have to squeeze the two tabs together like on the nameplate. You have to grab something to nudge it the rest of the way through. Whew, sent that thing flying. But here's the button in all of its glory. But now same thing with the reset button over there. With this one you can kind of just press in this side, it seems. It's an interesting layout to say the least. Had to do a few extra pushes to shimmy it out, but we got it. Finally we are left with the power button, which it's a bit dark there, but has two taps as well. Kind of at a weird angle. This will probably be easy with fingers. Maybe even better so with both hands tag teaming it. Now we can push it down a bit, turn the case back over, and it's plenty exposed enough to just pull the rest of the way out from here. Now back to the main unit here. The backside is just held on by two clamps here, so this just pulls with some pressure. Don't go too hard as they can break, as I've seen from restorers. Up the front here, it's the same situation, where you just pull them back. However, this piece has a board that is connected to the main unit below, so just don't try to yank it off. Next up, we have these screws holding down the grounding plate for the controller board. Oh geez, these are some long boys. The first of the 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. Then we can remove the clip with the two screws gone. And same for the other one. Going to the side, we have two more screws holding down the fan and power board. Can't really see it, but the wires there are pretty tough to navigate around. But it'll do. And this unit can now just come up. There we go. It was just hooked in there a bit, so you kind of have to lift it up and then forward to get it out. Want to be careful of the connected wires, so let's see, can I fit the pliers in? Yes, I can. I should have provided a bit more pressure on the connector itself, but with enough wiggling it worked out good enough. There we go. The wire goes down here, you just slide it out of its compartment to be set aside. We'll keep going with this disassembly for now, but we'll take the fan apart later. So now we have all these screws, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 very necessary screws. So now we can just lift this puppy off. All looks good here. And then under the hood, nice. Going back and checking the underside of the last part, you can see this connector here slots down onto this part of the board. So that's why I have to give it a bit of oomph to get it off. Now that the main board is exposed, we can separate the cable from the controller board more freely. Since we have that part off, let's backpedal and go back to the fan portion. Bringing back the pliers to grab this fan cable out. Once again, be careful. Next we can move on to taking out these 4 screws, and one more after that to remove the board itself. This just slides down and then forward. Then we have this screw to finish it off, freeing the board. Get a look at the underside as well. This is the power trigger itself. Say with the spring being down like this, that means it's on, and when the spring is extended, that means it's off. Looking good. So now we'll go ahead and get off the disc assembly. There are 5 screws, and it's a little bit difficult with the screwdriver being magnetic, and wants to just stick to the metal there. And then these 3 left. Oop, removing the last screw made the whole plate pop off. And now we have the board for the unit. So to get it out, we'll have to undo this cable. There's a gate here locking it in that needs to be pulled out. So we'll just go right, left, right, left, back, forth, 1, 2, 1, 2, ha! Super! Don't need to give it much force. There we go. Now just give it a nice pull and it's free. Next up, we'll get this connection out with our good friend the pliers. With the pressure on the connector, it made pretty quick work. Now we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, just 4 screws. So we'll go ahead and get those done too. Now with all those screws gone, the last thing holding it in place is this plastic clip here. Pulling it back slightly, being careful not to give it too much force, you can just lift it free. Now to fully lift the board, we have to pull it up from this peg, which was a bit more annoying than I thought, with the cable being connected and all. There's definitely enough room to get it out with the cable still in, but it would have been nice to be able to pull it out here instead of it appearing to be soldered in. If you want to take an extra step to have some more space, you can get the cable out from the small channel, just got to get it at kind of an angle, so like that, and the associated wires as well. To get the metal shield up, there are more clips you have to pry up, and these ones are quite the pain. It's not the hardest thing in the world, especially for these two, but the next two, especially the final one, is in such an inconvenient spot. Well, let's see if I can get a better view of it for this one. So right there, you can see it more clearly, so get something in between the crack there, try to pry it back so that you can push the shield up. I think I got it. But now for the tough one behind the... That one just clipped back in, didn't it? Plastic and trying to get it back out, the other two popped in as well. Okay, this is gonna be a bit annoying.
20 minutes later.
Alright, now back to where we were. There we go. That took way longer than it needed to, but we're here now. Okay, so flipping this back over to remove the disc assembly itself, there are, shockingly, more pegs near the pads. You see there's a bit of wiggle room. Here's one right here. So yeah, these clips kinda have to push it in and then up, and glove keeps getting stuck, but seems to be easier said than done. There we go, finally got one. I thought the last pegs were giving me trouble. I guess I had to just get it at a better angle or something. Let's see if we can replicate that again on this one. Okay, once the seal has been broken, it's much more doable. And lastly, this one in the back. Since the other two are out, this one is simple enough to just slide back. Now flipping it around, we can scooch the wires and cable out. If you wanted to clean under the lid detection board, you just need to take this screw out. That's the underside. And I'm just going to put it back on since it looks good enough for now. Going on to the underside of the assembly itself, there's a ton more that can be taken off. If the laser was bad, you could keep going, but since I don't have a disc to test yet, I'll just leave it alone for the time being and put it back together. Lay the disk drive back on top and wiggle the cables back into the hidey hole. Move this back into place to set the pegs back into place. Also, you can put this orange ribbon in the hole too. Now that it's realigned, slide the pegs in one at a time. Make sure the pegs are down enough and then you're able to give it a firm press to lock them all in place. So now that we're back in this position with the cable in, we can go ahead and grab this guy and line it up with the pegs. Give it some pressure for the clips to latch on and make sure the wire doesn't get pinched. That'd suck. There you can hear all the clicks and them going back in. Now you just have to flip the board over and lower it down on the peg. Give it a tap to get the plastic clip on the board prepped and ready for the screws. With that out of the way, plug the blue cable back in, like so. You can use your fingernail to make sure it goes all the way in, or whatever your heart desires. And now same with the orange cable. Slide it in and make sure it goes all the way through. Now just put down the corners to lock it in place. For the last piece of the assembly, we get the final metal shield and line the open hole with a connector on the top left from this angle, and the pegs as well. Okay, now that's sitting nice and flush like it should. Then we can set the 6 screws in. Now that the disk drive chapter has been completed, we can go to the bottom portion. In most cases, you won't have to remove the heatsink, but to mod it you do. So I'll be showing that here by removing these 6 screws. Nickelodeon! So now the whole unit can come out. Just got to give it a bit of oomph and oomph. Oh, a broken piece. I see we found the source of the rattling I heard earlier. Okay, I was just being a bit of a goober and trying to grab up the shield underneath as well. That's why it wasn't coming up. Here's a look at the underside. Don't think we need to mess with that at all. Looks good from a rookie's eye. Now we have 4 more screws for this shield. But now we can lift this off. Getting towards the end now. I still want to find where this piece is broken off of, but we'll get to that when we get down in here further. The majority of these metal pieces are just sitting in here, so you can take this out, this out, this out, oh, and this one too. For the final big plate, there's more screws to take out, 4 to be exact. Now the tray can come up and the board can be pulled out. Taking a look at the back here, this chip has some weirdness on it. It seems to be fine when I try to power it on, so I hope it's just a mark, but I'll have to do more testing. Oh, 1 more metal piece as well. Oh, okay, I think perhaps right there. That's where this guy must have broken off from. So normally it would sit like that. In all fairness, this isn't like an integral part at least. I'll certainly let it be known to the next owner, though I guess I could experiment with this cement that bonds plastic together. Shout out to all the Warhammer people out there. I'll go ahead and give it a shot to see how it holds up. I'm not super confident, but it won't hurt much to try, and worst goes to worst, I just replace the case. So I'll just apply a coat here and some on the case itself. Try to position it decent enough and hold it firmly down for a while so it sets. For the time being, that's fine. I'll check on it later and see if it bonded well or if I'll just leave it out. But that's the disassembly at least. Next up, I'll be trying to switch the region to English, and as this video is getting pretty long, I'll just quickly run through the reassembly and go over that in another video.
What follows is a brief construction montage.
Alright, with all that back together, we have a full dis and reassembly of a Japanese 001 model GameCube. From a beginner's perspective, the teardown was more involved than that of the PS2 I did beforehand. There was quite a few layers to go through, and I got pretty exhausted from all the screws, but that's nothing compared to some of the newer releases at least. I'm not sure if it was just me or this one in particular, but I had a lot of trouble fidgeting around with the disk drive. That could just be my inexperience, but it was quite the hassle, especially with the laser being one of the key issues with GameCubes. That aside, the compact structure of the console is pretty darn impressive, and the front and back panels being clipped on is very handy for a quick teardown. I also like the customizability with the nameplate and the adapters at the bottom, giving forth a lot of ingenuity in the modding scene, though I doubt that was in their original image. Overall, I give it a 6 out of 10 for difficulty. If there was anything else I should have gone over, or if you agree, let me know down below, and if you like these perspectives. Other than that though, thanks for watching. This is Dive Fixer, shutting down.